Hello everyone, Christopher Bulett here, just going over the Week 8 video paradoxes, all the questions that come along with that, and I thought that our Week 8 discussion was pretty interesting and kind of seeing what style we were and what we best responded to. With that being said, I'd like to start answering some of these questions. Excuse me. So, what are some of the challenges facing leaders when it comes to facing paradoxes? And this is kind of a tough question to answer because it could be a multitude of many different things that leaders face every single day that create challenges. But I think the biggest one and most important one is helping people overcome day-to-day obstacles. If you read through our chapter, if you read through the notes in the lecture, you'll notice that we tend to talk a lot about that. And the reason being is helping people overcome obstacles, you're aiding them and assisting them and helping them figure out how to accomplish a task. And, this also comes hand to hand with helping employees determine their goals. So it's one thing to give someone a job, but it's another thing to help them accomplish their obstacles and determine their goals so that they're not just left with one task to do. And also taking the right path. I've been in a job before where I had no idea what I was doing. The manager just kind of sat us down and told us this is what we need to do. Didn't explain how we should do this, what efficient ways we should do this, and what steps we should take necessary to prepare for the next challenge or the next goals, the overall thing that we're trying to accomplish. What are we doing? So I was a bit challenged. We actually sat down with the manager and explained that, listen, we're not understanding what we're needing to be doing. We're constantly questioning ourselves and everything that we do. So helping employees determine their goals, help them overcome obstacles, and take the right path that leads to the overall goal of, for example, the company. I believe that is, I think that's some of the biggest challenges facing leaders and what they have to accomplish. Moving on to the next question. How do they go about making the right decision? And again, this is not an easy question to answer. How do they go about making the right decision? Well, leaders must make sure that their goals are clear. As I stated before, my example, I was left to pretty much figure things out on myself. You don't really want to do that. You want to make sure that you're telling your employees and what you're relaying to them is very, very clear, easy to comprehend. If they have any questions, make sure you answer those questions. You're going in depth of explaining tasks, and you're telling them that if we accomplish this, we accomplish this. This is ultimately what we want to accomplish, so that next week it'll be easier for us to transition to the overall goal to complete the entire project. So it's kind of like school as well. You take your time, you put things to the side. You're going to be in some trouble. You need to manage yourself and keep on top of your homework, keep on top of the discussions, the responses, communicating with both the teacher and the students. If you do that, then it's easier for you to comprehend. It's easier for you to complete tasks and move on to the next week to get stuff done. So you're not jam-packed. So to a certain extent, it kind of it goes into different categories of your life. But talking about being a leader, this is one way that I personally believe it should be done, and going about making the right decisions. So the next question is, how do they deal with different choices they are confronted with? And me, for example, I thrive off the organizational paradoxes, maintaining and managing day-to-day operations. Those are kind of what I specialize in. So let's say, for instance, I'm going for a job that I'm really into and I really like, but it requires a different set of paradoxes. You're now left with a challenge. So dealing with different choices that we're confronted with, I think adjusting your personal paradoxes um, is something that you need to do in order to get the job done, and that can't always be easy. I mean, because you're teaching yourself a different strategy. You're expecting yourself to think differently and to act differently, and that right there can be one of the most difficult things to accomplish. Um, like I said, let's say you're more of an organizational leader, but it requires a leader, a leader and follower style. Uh, when you think about your own, challenges that you have in front of you, you need to be able to adjust and create a better environment for yourself, and not only for yourself but for your employees. If you're doing that, then um, you have to accomplish that, and adjusting different choices and adjusting your personal paradoxes is in my way, that's the most important. And I think that's the best way to deal with different choices you're confronted with. You have to be able to be open to decision, and you can't just stay in one segment. That might work well in, let's say, a restaurant. If you read my discussion for week 8, I thrive off of, the business aspect is 50%. The other 50% is personal, with employees, our guests, customers, the back of the house, the front of the house, the bar, multitasking. There has to be a harmonious balance. So I think that needs to be relayed over to, different choices that you're confronted with in everyday life. The next question, when you think about your own leader styles, and what challenges will you be faced with? When I think about my own leader style and the challenges that I'll be faced with are trusting individuals. I like to be hands-on, and I like to help guide and to make sure people are doing what they need to be doing constantly, and constantly check on them. I think I need to trust them a little bit more. I need to be more tolerant. Like I said, I like to be in control. But I need to step back and give people the correct guidance and help them accomplish tasks and goals. But I need them to somewhat be their own bosses at certain times. What I hope is that I'm giving them the tools necessary to make the correct choices, so that when they're challenged, they can be like, well, Chris told me that I need to do this, and this is what we're trying to focus on to get to here. If they can always constantly remind themselves and answer their own questions, then I'm doing my job as a leader. Obviously, they're going to have to come to me for a few things, but I think that's the biggest challenges that face me. I can't always be like hovering over everyone and be kind of like a helicopter boss to where I'm constantly, on top of everyone. I need to take a step back and, again, be tolerant, be a little more humble, and trust my individuals. And I think that will create a little more success for myself as far as lowering the challenges that I have to face every day. The next question is, what are some of the obstacles that you believe in the way of most leaders? Some of the obstacles, again, that I believe are in the most is not being able to change who you are, is not being open to ideas, adjusting your paradoxes towards the environment. And if you have a very diverse cultural group that you're working with, you need to be able to be open-minded. You need to be able to expand your mind and not just be one-minded and that boss who just kind of sits in the office and expects people to do something and make them nervous or scare them. Or because my current general manager, it's funny that we bring this up, but his managing style is interesting, because as a leader, it works to a certain extent, but people don't respect him enough. So I believe rather than trying to threaten people and come off as a stern individual. I think that's obstacles that put you in between and in the middle of understanding who you're working with is and what you need to do to get things accomplished correctly. Obstacles that stand in the way of leaders are themselves. I think that's a major one. If you look in the mirror, you're in my opinion your biggest obstacle. And I mean that because you're the only one who is entitled to change. You're the only one who can make yourself change. Like I stated before, you need to be open-minded. We won't get too much into that because I kind of answered that question already. But yeah, you're your biggest obstacle. And I think that's what gets in the way of most leaders. Let's see. What tools do you believe you possess to overcome these obstacles? I believe the tools that I have and I possess to overcome obstacles is I do have an open mind. I'm very friendly. I'm very caring. My emotional intelligence, I think, is at a high. I'm very good at reading people's body language. I understand what people want. I understand what people need. I can read them. If you ask an individual who's upset what's wrong, a lot of times they'll say, oh, nothing, or they'll be very open. For the majority of the people you get that say nothing when there is something wrong, I'm able to read into that and go in and see, well, this person isn't trying to make a big deal out of it, but why are they upset? Why am I getting this feeling that they're upset? Those are the tools I believe I possess, and it comes into some of my different leadership obstacles and paradoxes. If I'm very organized, I like to keep my managing styles organized. I like to make sure that I'm staying on top of the things that I thrive off of. Am I following the right procedures? Am I giving my employees tools they need? Am I answering their questions? Am I giving them suggestions? Am I helping them build a foundation to get to the next spot? Those are the things I possess. I'm a people person. I understand. I've worked from the bottom, and I've started to try to make my way up through management in my current job. So I have a feel for different levels, and I think that's sometimes what some leaders lack. So as far as experience in the current industry I'm in, which is the restaurant industry, I think that the tools I possess to overcome obstacles are pretty much the ones I stated. Again, I think that I'm able to adjust, and like I stated before, that you're your biggest obstacle, you're your biggest problem. I'm able to adjust myself. So that being said, I think that I've learned a lot from this actually, and it's nice to kind of go more in depth with these different types of assignments and kind of go through these questions and ask yourself these questions because they're not easy to answer. You can't just sit down and type an answer to each question. These are the kind of questions that need to be answered off the top of your head and through experience and what you think and what you feel. So they're not easy, but I think continuing to challenge yourself and continuing to read the course documents, the books, and all those materials, I think will help you become a better leader and accomplish and help balance those paradoxes, so to speak. So yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you.